Imagine holding a fossil in one hand and a Bible in the other, each claiming to explain your beginnings. I'm Veritas Vox, and today we crack open this ancient fault line, where evolutionary science meets literal creationism in an existential showdown. Stay close as we unearth the roots of this debate, its scientific trenches, its theological ramparts, and the souls caught between two origin myths. Long before Darwin's voyage, early Christians wrestled with Genesis's opening chapters. Augustine cautioned against literal readings of 6 days, favoring allegory. Centuries later, the rise of young earth creationism in the 20th century, championed by figures like Henry Morris and the Institute for Creation Research, reasserted a 6,000-year timeline and global flood as historical fact. Their textbooks depict dinosaurs aboard Noah's Ark and petrified polystrate trees slicing through multiple strata. Schools, museums, and church seminaries became battlefields for this revival, framing faith as locked in a war against secular, anti-Christian science. Then came Darwin's On the Origin of Species in 1859, upending beliefs by proposing natural selection over millions of years. Pivotal discoveries in paleontology, genetics, and radiometric dating reinforced evolution's timeline, from the Cambrian explosion to hominid fossils spanning hundreds of millennia. Scientists painted life's tree with branching diversity, not Eden's fixed kinds. Each new transitional fossil, from Tiktaalik's fish to tetrapod limb to Homo naledi's mixed features, punctured literalist certainties, igniting legal and educational battles in classrooms across the globe. Within the halls of seminaries and the corridors of science, a third way emerged: theistic evolution. Proponents, like Francis Collins, director of the Human Genome Project, argue that God uses natural processes to unfold creation over billions of years. They read Genesis's days as poetic epochs, not 24-hour blocks, and see Adam and Eve as theological archetypes representing humanity's unique relationship with the divine. This model honors both the rigor of radiometric dating, pinpointing Earth at 4.5 billion years, and the spiritual truth of Imago Dei, the belief that every human bears God's image. For many believers, theistic evolution resolves the scandal of apparent cruelty in Survival of the Fittest by viewing death and mutation as part of a larger divine story, refining creation through trial and error. Yet critics on both sides decry compromise. Secular scientists warn against inserting supernatural assumptions into empirical frameworks, while strict creationists denounce it as evolution dressed in Sunday clothes. Unwilling to cede ground, creationist scholars sharpened their arguments. They point to gaps in the fossil record, so-called missing links, as proof that transitional forms are fictional. They champion intelligent design's irreducible complexity, claiming structures like the bacterial flagellum or the human eye cannot arise through stepwise mutations. Flageologists reinterpret sedimentary layers as the result of a single cataclysmic deluge, citing polystrate fossils and rapid coal formation under immense pressure. They commission creation museums with animatronic dinosaurs roaming amid Garden of Eden dioramas, painting evolution as myth and creation as science. Their textbooks equip parents and sympathetic school boards to challenge evolution's inclusion in public education, turning science classes into battlegrounds over textbooks, board votes, and academic freedom laws. Across public schools and private academies, the battle over origins rages in textbook adoptions and boardroom debates. In states like Texas and Florida, science standards become political footballs. conservative legislators push academic freedom bills mandating that teachers present evolution's strengths and weaknesses. Creationist organizations seize these openings, supplying glossy, alternative materials that frame natural selection as mere conjecture. Meanwhile, universities attempt to safeguard academic rigor by delineating science from faith in introductory biology courses. Yet even here, enrollment dips as students wary of conflict choose majors elsewhere. In Christian colleges, the divide splits institutions. Some embrace evolutionary biology programs, while flagship schools like Liberty University require faculty to affirm young Earth tenets. Scholarship suffers when campuses become echo chambers. Students may graduate with degrees in creation biology, but lack competency in peer-reviewed research, leaving them ill-prepared for graduate study or participation in broader scientific discourse. Parents, too, find themselves in the fray. Concerned about perceived moral decay, many homeschool or funnel children into academies where Genesis is taught as literal history. The result is generational echo. One cohort memorizes speciation charts. Another drills the Friday fossil layer as proof of flood geology. This bifurcation of education risks creating two parallel realities, one grounded in empirical evidence, the other in doctrinal fidelity, fracturing not only minds, but the very fabric of informed citizenship. For many faithful scientists, reconciling lab data with scriptural commitment is a crucible of identity. Dr. Elena Cruz, a molecular geneticist and Sunday school teacher, recounts her private torment, writing peer-reviewed articles on human-chimpanzee DNA homology by day, then praying over Genesis's genealogy verses by night. The cognitive dissonance sparked sleeplessness and spiritual doubt. Was she betraying her faith or her calling? Others face communal ostracism. Biologist Dr. Marcus Eng was barred from leading youth group discussions after publishing a paper on radiometric dating. Accused of undermining church authority, he was reassigned to maintenance duty at his congregation's ministry center, his lab coat swapped for a janitor's smock. Conversely, creationist educators in public schools endure harassment from science teachers and students, branded as frauds when they suggest alternative models in classroom discussions. Yet in this turmoil, some find integrative resilience. Faith science forums, like BioLogos and interdisciplinary seminars, encourage dialogue, equipping believers to hold both realms with nuance. Congregations hosting science and faith panels see reduced stigma when the pastor preaches humility and the physicist preaches wonder. The fissure between bench and Bible narrows. These personal journeys reveal that the debate isn't merely about facts versus faith, but about the courage to live in the tension, embracing mystery in both Scripture's poetry and nature's grandeur. In an era of 24/7 news cycles and viral sound bites, the evolution versus creation debate has become as much about storytelling as empirical data. Major networks frame each side through their cultural biases. Liberal outlets highlight Darwin's courage in defying dogma, while conservative channels showcase children praying, "Thank you, God, for creating me," in science class. Documentaries like Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed, portray scientists as militant atheists silencing dissent, whereas PBS specials on the Galapagos glorify evolutionary pioneers as heroes of progress. Social media amplifies these narratives. Hashtags like Our Science Wins and Bible Truth trend in alternating cycles, each fueling echo chambers where facts are tailored to affirm pre-existing beliefs. Memes depict the stereotypical angry evolutionist, garbed in lab coats, versus the backwoods creationist clutching a Bible. Caricatures that deepen misunderstanding. Meanwhile, podcasts and YouTube channels, often funded by think tanks, push curated content. Interviews with credentialed theologians who argue against radioisotope dating, or with Nobel laureates who dismiss Genesis as obsolete myth. This battlefield of perception matters because cultural narratives shape public acceptance. Surveys show that individuals exposed to balanced media presentations are more open to theistic evolution, whereas those in polarized media bubbles cling rigidly to literalist or strictly secular positions. When the story told becomes the story believed, the debate transcends academic journals and infiltrates living rooms, shaping the beliefs of future scientists, pastors, and policymakers. Beyond classrooms and living rooms, the origin debate influences lawmaking. Faith-based coalitions, like the Discovery Institute's Center for Science and Culture and the National Center for Science Education, lobby state legislatures on academic freedom bills. These laws often require that teachers critically analyze evolution, a seemingly neutral phrase that, in practice, mandates equal time for creationist views. Legislators court evangelical voting blocs by inserting pro-creationist language into school standards. In turn, secular advocacy groups deploy legal challenges under the Establishment Clause when they perceive a breach of church-state separation. The result? Courts, not scientists or theologians, become arbiters of origin narratives. Landmark rulings, such as the 2005 Kitzmiller v. Dover decision, which struck down intelligent design in Pennsylvania public schools, underscore how political maneuvering can either uphold or dismantle the wall between faith and science. Meanwhile, national education boards in countries like Brazil and Turkey have swung between endorsing evolution or banning it, reflecting the ruling party's alignment with religious constituencies. Internationally, UNESCO's science curriculum recommendations clash with local religious authorities who demand inclusion of creationist perspectives. In this tug-of-war, the lives of teachers, students, and scientists hinge on legislative language as much as on laboratory evidence or theological exegesis. When our origin stories diverge, so do our moral compasses. Does evolution's narrative of gradual adaptation justify unfettered manipulation of life? Or does creationism's view of humanity as divinely crafted instill reverence for every being? The answer shapes policies on environmental stewardship, bioengineering, and human dignity. Environmental ethos. Evolutionary science reveals humans as part of a vast, interconnected biosphere, our survival contingent on the health of ecosystems. This awareness underpins conservation efforts, protecting apex predators to preserve balance, restoring wetlands to combat climate change, and recognizing biodiversity as our co-evolved kin. Conversely, young Earth creationism sometimes frames nature as fallen and transient, emphasizing dominion rather than stewardship. Subdue the Earth becomes license for exploitation, not latent partnership. Consider the Amazon rainforest's deforestation. Do we cut trees to fuel short-term economic gain, or guard them as part of God's unfolding creation? Theistic evolutionists argue that honoring evolutionary processes means protecting the genetic library shaped over eons. Creationists concerned with divine sovereignty instead focus on saving souls, sometimes sidelining ecological urgency. These divergent ethics lead to policy rifts. Funding for national parks or research grants can hinge on whether legislators see creation as sacred or call it a disposable backdrop to human redemption. bioethical frontiers. From CRISPR gene editing to synthetic biology, science opens doors to rewriting DNA. If life emerged through trial and error, is it our prerogative to tinker? Evolutionary ethicists advocate for responsible innovation, curbing genetic diseases while preserving natural variety. Yet they also warn against playing God, cautioning that unforeseen mutations could unleash ecological disasters. Creationists, viewing each genome as divinely ordained, often reject genetic manipulation outright, condemning cloning and designer babies as affronts to the Creator's blueprint. Their stance can stall research into cures for inherited disorders, framing every lab breakthrough as another step toward hubris. In medical ethics committees, these worldviews clash. Should we allow gene therapy to eradicate Huntington's disease, or does altering God's design cross a moral red line? Human dignity and personhood. Evolutionary theory locates humans within the primate lineage, challenging notions of exceptionalism. Some fear this erodes the sanctity of human life. If we're just another species, what grounds for universal human rights? Theistic evolutionists counter that Imago Dei transcends biological kinship, assigning every person inherent worth beyond genetics. By contrast, strict creationists anchor dignity in literal descent from Adam and Eve, often supporting life beginning at conception policies and opposing fetal research. These convictions shape hot-button issues: abortion legislation, end-of-life care, and embryo research. When the law must balance rights of the mother and the fetus, must it defer to a literal Genesis mandate or to evolving scientific consensus on developmental biology? The ethical fallout underscores that origin narratives aren't academic. They're the lenses through which societies navigate life's most profound moral dilemmas. In a world teetering between scientific marvels and spiritual longing, neither siloed silence nor hostile debate will suffice. We need spaces where evolution and creation can converse, where wonder trumps war. Models of engagement: science and faith. Symposia. Universities like Notre Dame host annual forums where evolutionary biologists and theologians present research side by side, followed by moderated panels. Attendees report that hearing both perspectives in one room dissolves stereotypes. Scientists acknowledge mystery beyond equations, while theologians embrace empirical rigor. Interdisciplinary curricula. Programs, such as the Bioethics Institute at Georgetown, integrate coursework in genetics, theology, and ethics, training future leaders to navigate both lab protocols and pastoral care with equal fluency. Graduates serve as liaisons in hospital ethics boards, church committees, and legislative task forces. Community science church partnerships. In rural areas, creation-hosting churches invite citizen scientists to conduct biodiversity surveys on church lands, framing environmental care as worship. Congregants learn taxonomy alongside prayer, discovering that study of God's handiwork in genomes can deepen devotion rather than threaten it. Principles for fruitful dialogue. Humility before mystery. Scientists admit that equations can't capture experiential awe. Believers concede that metaphor can't replace measurable data. Shared language of wonder. Both sides tell origin stories not to win debates, but to inspire a sense of belonging in the cosmos and in the Creator's heart. Joint projects. Collaborative research on climate impact creates common ground. Participants see faith as motivation for conservation and science as tool for stewardship. Such bridges don't erase differences, but reframe them as complementary chapters in one grand narrative. They fuel educational reforms, inform policy, and cultivate a culture where fossils and flood legends alike point toward a universe singing with meaning. History brims with ironic twists, where church and science once clashed, only to converge in unexpected harmony, or where scientists startled believers by defending faith's claims. Galileo's shadow and the Vatican telescope. In 1633, Galileo faced the Inquisition for affirming heliocentrism. Yet today, the Vatican Observatory stands among the world's oldest astronomical research institutions, employing Jesuit astronomers who map cosmic phenomena. This shift underscores that an institution once prosecuting science can become its patron, recognizing that celestial mechanics deepen awe in the Creator's handiwork. The Big Bang's theological roots, Belgian priest Georges Lemaitre proposed what became the Big Bang theory in 1927, coining the primeval atom. His work laid foundations for modern cosmology, yet faced skepticism from both atheistic scientists and literalist theologians. Over time, Lemaitre's model gained empirical support, cosmic microwave background radiation, prompting many Christian thinkers to embrace a universe with a definitive beginning that resonates deeply with Genesis's opening verse. Genetic revelation and the code of life. The discovery of DNA's double helix by Watson and Crick in 1953 unlocked the blueprint of life, yet raised theological questions about human uniqueness. In a paradoxical turn, Catholic leaders issued statements affirming that genetic determinism does not negate free will or the soul's immaterial reality. Meanwhile, bioethicists from diverse faiths collaborated to draft the 1997 Universal Declaration on the Human Genome and Human Rights, melding scientific insight with moral imperatives rooted in human dignity. These ironies reveal that when curiosity and conviction unite, dogma and data can co-create richer understandings of existence. They remind us that conflict need not define faith-science relations. Rather, provocative challenge can refine both belief and inquiry. Peering ahead, emerging fields beckon us into frontiers, where science and spirituality may converge once more in radical ways. Astrobiology's search for life space missions probe Mars, icy moons, and exoplanets for signs of life. Discovering even microbial life beyond Earth would revolutionize theology, tossing the question, is Christ's incarnation unique or part of a cosmic, redemptive plan? Theistic evolutionists prepare frameworks for an interplanetary theology, suggesting that divine creativity extends across solar systems. Literalists wrestle with scriptural claims of Earth-centric humanity, igniting debates that could redefine doctrines of salvation and covenant. Quantum mechanics and divine action. Quantum indeterminacy challenges classical causality, opening conceptual space for divine action without violating natural laws. Physicists like John Polkinghorne propose that God's influence might manifest in quantum probabilities, guiding events at the subatomic level. This quantum theology offers a model where prayer and miracle cohere with scientific rigor. Divine choice nudges wave function collapse without disrupting empirical predictability. Synthetic consciousness and the image of God. Advances in artificial intelligence prompt questions about personhood and imago Dei. If machines achieve self-awareness, does the divine image shine in silicon? Will theologians welcome synthetic persons into faith communities, or will creation's boundary be drawn at biological life? These dilemmas anticipate dialogues where biologists, engineers, and clergy co-author protocols for rites, worship, and spiritual care of new forms of being. As these frontiers unfold, the imperative remains to weave narratives where science illuminates wonder and faith sustains meaning. The journey ahead need not repeat old battles. Rather, it can model a partnership of disciplines, each honoring mystery at the edge of knowledge. Even well-intentioned collaborations can misfire, leaving both lab coats and clerical collars singed. Consider the stem cell controversies of the early 2000s. Some faith communities, haunted by literal readings of "be fruitful and multiply," decried embryonic research as playing God. Meanwhile, certain scientific advocates dismissed all religious objections, branding any moral concern as fundamentalist obstruction. The result was polarization. Research institutions erected ethics review boards to pacify the faithful, while churches doubled down on absolutist bans, even when adult stem cell therapies showed promise. In another misstep, faith-based medical exemptions during the COVID-19 pandemic unleashed unintended harm. A handful of churches claimed divine protection over vaccination, encouraging congregants to refuse sterile science in favor of prayer shields. Outbreaks traced to these communities led to tragic fatalities, stirring debates over religious liberty versus public health. A clash where both scientific guidance and pastoral care occasionally faltered under pressure. Finally, look at faith-driven environmental projects that ignored ecological expertise. Well-meaning church-planting movements cleared wetlands to build new worship spaces, only to face lawsuits and community backlash. These misadventures illustrate that good intentions need rigorous interdisciplinary planning. Faith without deference to data can scar creation, and science without respect for local stewardship can alienate the very communities it seeks to help. At the edge of tomorrow lies a blueprint for institutions where Petri dishes and prayer books dwell side by side, where empirical inquiry and spiritual formation advance hand in hand. Integrated research centers. Imagine university chapels housing bioethics labs where theologians sit alongside geneticists, consulting sacred texts as they design CRISPR trials for sickle cell anemia. Here, every protocol passes both IRB and ecclesial review, ensuring medical breakthroughs honor both human dignity and scientific integrity. Faith Science Fellowships. Fellows spend mornings in theology seminars, unpacking doctrine on Imago Dei, afternoons in molecular biology labs mapping genome editing. These cohorts graduate not with either-or credentials, but with dual doctorates: Philosophiae Doctor in Bioethics, Doctor of Science in Genetics, poised to lead institutions that respect both revelation and research. Community Innovation Hubs. In cities, Genesis Centers repurpose abandoned churches into co-working spaces for startups tackling climate resilience, ethical AI, and regenerative agriculture. Congregations sponsor hackathons on Sabbath mornings, inviting coders and clergy to co-author solutions that serve the common good, demonstrating that sacred spaces can incubate both compassion and creativity. Educational consortia. K-12 schools partner with local seminaries and science museums to offer joint curricula. A single course explores both the physics of starlight and the psalmist's song of creation, fostering wonder in both domains. Students graduate fluent in lab protocols and liturgical poetry, equipped to bridge whatever divides they encounter. This synthesis vision demands humility and hospitality from all sides. Scientists must learn scriptural nuance. Preachers must honor methodological rigor. Yet when labs and lecterns unite under shared values, truth-seeking, reverence, and service, they can model a future where wonder and wisdom coalesce, guiding humanity toward both knowledge and transcendence. In the end, we stand at a crossroads. Continue a legacy of division where science and faith tell separate tales, or craft a unified narrative that honors both the data etched in DNA and the poetry inscribed in Genesis? Do we cling to fractured worldviews, each insisting its truth alone? Or do we forge a fellowship of discovery, where fossils and faith illuminate creation's grand tapestry together? This choice transcends academic debate. It shapes how we teach our children, care for our planet, and trust in mysteries beyond our instruments. The final reckoning asks, will we piece together a mosaic of wonder, or will we leave the masterpiece forever incomplete? Beloved seekers, our journey through eons of fossils and chapters of Scripture reveals that truth wears many faces. Let us not fear the questions that science poses, nor silence the wisdom faith ingests. Instead, let us stand with humility before the universe's vastness and the Bible's depths, allowing each to expand our wonder, not shrink our conviction. I am Veritas Vox. May your curiosity burn bright, your faith remain steadfast, and your spirit hold both microscope and manuscript in reverent balance. Go forth and cherish the questions as much as the answers. Only then will our story be whole.